All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Here we are, the 8th of January. Oh my God, look at Bitcoin. You know, I've been trading, it's coming up on 29 years. I only a couple times in my career have I ever seen something even close to this, right? I was working as a broker in the dot-com boom. That was just incredible. Was there for the first run up to 20K and stayed with it and have stayed with it and continued to be a believer for when I think I started at mid summer of 2017 was when I was first getting attracted to what was going on in crypto. Just an unbelievable run, right? And I would have to say, it looks like, it was great TA. I mean, this was maybe the most obvious long opportunity in my 30 years. I've often thought I was one of the most bullish educators around the board anywhere, and I just continue to say this did not take an advanced degree or an advanced knowledge of Elliott Wave. This is probably the easiest long I've ever seen, right? And so now as we sit here, the question becomes, okay, well, all right, okay, good for you. And I hope many, whether it's members or YouTube subs, have listened along the way. I mean, there's been times where I literally screamed at you to buy it. So I hope you're participating in this. Now, if you're not, right, it's very frustrating. It's much like Tesla, right? If you're not in it, oh my God, right? Saying, I'm not in Tesla. I mean, I think we're really, a lot of people are kind of comparing the two based on the percentage gains, but I really think they have, underneath, they have very little in common other than that they are just dramatic market disruptors. And I don't think anyone's valuing Tesla as a car company anymore. But back to Bitcoin here. The question is, how high is too high? Is a correction here inevitable? Well, it's likely, right? The degree and the depth of it here is what's interesting, because we have kind of a phenomenon that I've never come across before, where we have such clarity in the supply-demand equation here. And I think many of you know, if you buzz around the space or mentioned it over the last couple of weeks, it's about 900 Bitcoin get mined every day. And just the customers between PayPal and Cash App, and then add in the institutions that are buying. I mean, it's just being bought up as fast as they can mine it. So who's selling? Who are you going to buy it from? Not the institutions. You're not buying it. You're not buying it from Michael Saylor. I mean, who are you going to buy it from? Right, who's going to sell it to you? Right, just become interesting. And you see every little drop we get, I mean, even if it's $2,000-$3,000 drop, is absorbed so quickly. It's people are jumping at the opportunity, right? And that's not just retail doing that. So it just makes for a phenomenon where the hardest thing to do is to stay away from your mouse. And well, of course you have to react differently if you're trading with leverage than whether you're not. But if you are not trading with leverage, there's no reason to be tightening up your stops here. I'd be giving this plenty of room. I mean, in terms of where we could be going here, well, just if we applied some rudimentary Elliott Wave analysis here, I mean, 100K looks like, no problem, right? That we're going to get to 100K. I'd be surprised if we're not well over 100K by, at this rate, I mean, certainly by the summer. There's just, again, who's going to sell it? Right? I mean, I guess the wild card is always in Bitcoin. Always is some sort of government action here that would cause the market to perhaps sell off. There might be some panic selling here, but crypto traders are just going to go where they can buy, right? If you can't stop it, right? There's no stopping it. So they're just going to find other exchanges, other ways to buy it. It's just there is no way to stop this thing now, which is great news. So then it becomes a matter of, well, if I did get a retracement, where do I want to be strategically looking for that? So let's get down to the specifics here of the chart. And I'm just interrupt here to say, excuse me, guys. If ever there was a time, if you're a crypto trader, if you're just a trader, if you're new to the markets, if ever there was a time to be really fine-tuning your trading skills, you want to change your life, perhaps in ways that you hadn't even imagined, this is the time to be really developing your trading skills, right? And we've long said that, Bitcoin, right, is the phenomenon, right, in crypto, right? It will likely always be the leader, but where there's going to be tremendous additional opportunity is within the alt space, as there's more adaptation of crypto throughout the economy. Right now, we all look at Bitcoin as a rival to gold. We look at Ethereum as kind of the technology behind some of the evolution of crypto adaptation, and you see them both running. But if you think back to 2017, when we were talking about all the different verticals that crypto was going to be integrated into, much of that has fallen by the wayside. It's no longer part of the dialogue, unless you're really a hardcore crypto techie. But my view has always been that for the alts to really run, you had to start seeing that. There had to be efficiency. There had to be ways that transitioning over to a cryptocurrency added efficiency or cut out cost, or it just added benefit to whatever that vertical that you were working in, whether it was pot coins or dental coins or crypto in the healthcare system. There had to be some benefit there. So those are the things that I kind of keep my eyes out for. We're seeing more signs of that adaptation in those spaces, and right now with the mania around the big cryptocurrencies, obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum, keep your eyes out for signs of that happening in the background. That infrastructure has been developing and growing for the last 3 years as we went through this extended bear market in crypto. But that's where I think we really are going to see growth. It's again, it becomes beyond what you can imagine. All right, let's talk about the chart. All right, that's 7 minutes of me rambling on, waxing poetic about. It's been a long ride. If you were in this, if you've been a follower of mine or a member, I have members that have been with me since day one. What a ride we've had here, right? And now of course it all pays off. I think the last time I really gave you a strong, encouraging buy was when we were down at 10.2. I think the last buy I made was at 10.2. Still just letting it run. Okay, so let's talk about the chart. So here, this is the daily on Coinbase here. This is, I'm in log scale, right? So in and out of log. Now we're to the point where you almost have to look at it in log scale. And I think the long, God, if you've seen my videos now for shit, when did we put this in? Well, there's the COVID low. I mean, for 9 months, we've been talking about this. The simplified version of this was the corrective move here off of the impulsive 1-2. And there were 1,000 different reasons why this couldn't happen technically, yet here we go. And at least I can count on the fact that the requests for the bear count have been dramatically reduced. So looking at it here, 1-2 seems like the obvious candidate here. I mean, again, you don't have to be a Elliott master to throw up a 1-2 there. Well, then you might start thinking, okay, well, if that's 1-2 and we're in this protracted ripping run here for the third, well, how? Of course, we're just going to do some traditional. Well, here actually I have it saved already. Just simple wave analysis, wave relationship analysis. Well, lo and behold, what are we about to do here? If I can remember where my tools are. All right, there's the 1618. Here's the 175 window. Now look at the gap here. That's a $10,000 gap in log scale from 42 to 52. So the idea that we could be coming up into that range here. So you might look at it and say, well, 42 looks like a top. Well, picking a top here has been a fool's errand, right? And we've had to relabel the count here a bit just to accommodate that. And we'll get into that when we get off the daily in a second. But right now, that looks like an obvious target here off of the larger degree 1-2, but nothing says we have to stop there, right? In fact, I'm going to show you a count that has this going much higher. We could easily go up to the 2618 here, which is 189,000, right? That seems well. I'd be surprised if we don't get that, right? The larger three, 1-2 going to the 2618, right? This is. I mean, along with Tesla, maybe the greatest bull run we'll see in our lifetimes. So to not get the 261 would kind of surprise me. But we can take that same thinking and apply it to the only other choice we have here for a 1-2. So, okay, well, if that's my 1 and that's my 2, well, now we're looking at perhaps, right? This third coming in right here. But that start just looking at where we are in the count, I'm already thinking we could go beyond that. So 1, 2, okay, well, here's a target. That's 64, let's call it 64,400, just to round up to shit, look again, that's 64 to 75. Right, so you've got these massive, right, it always distorts in log scale. That's a $10,000 spread between the 618 and the 175. No, absolutely no reason why we couldn't get up there. But you want to pay attention to these as potential technical pivots, right? Because there'll be algos attached to these. So this one is kind of interesting at 64.7. Now, as we break the countdown here, we'll look down to the daily here and see if it makes sense. And this is a great exercise for an aspiring Elliottician to see if you can work through the count here. Now, it's easy out here because you can just kind of simplify. You don't have to go through all the qualification, but you can see it out here. I mean, we relabeled here because this was just approaching the extension in the 5th was getting so far that just seemed more logical to turn it into a 1, 2, and now we're still in the 3. So right now it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? I mean, that's about as bullish as you can get. Considering the range here that we have, right, with our low from 3,000 to now pushing 41, 43, so it's almost $37,000 run. Okay, so I think this is good, always good to keep a daily out somewhere. Have these levels marked. It's just so you quick reference. All right, let's go off of that. Let's go look at the, let's go to a 4-hour on Bitstamp. Now, this is the members. You saw me post this unupdated count. So just some context here. So I'm going all the way back to, here's the COVID low. So here's the 1, 2. So now I'm no longer in log scale here, just to work through the subdivision here. So there's the 1, 2 that we were just looking at on the other chart, right? So here's that 1, 2 here. Right, is what we were just looking at. So this 2 is where we're starting here. That's this 2 here. Now we had counted this as potentially, now this was a 3, 4, and we were in the extension of the 5. But we had, in fact, last week talked about, well, if we're relabeling here, this is the area where we're going to do it. If this is going to keep going, then more likely this is going to become a 1 and not a 3, 4. I think we had it A, B, C into the 4 here and going up. So now it looks like 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you work through the count here, let me go down an hour. See this a little bit better. Again, really good challenge for an Elliottician to see if you can get this all to complete, stay rules and guidelines compliant. So from that, so off of the larger 2 here, we get a full, and this got quite an extension in the 3rd, but we got to get up here. We do complete an impulse here. So that seems like it's taking us here. I get this right up here. Got to go with the 2 here because I need the 1, 2 here as well, right? So while it's skinny, you're going to have to live with it. All right, so here becomes the 2. Here becomes the 1, 2, 3, triangle, 4, 5. So from that, it would appear that we go 1, 2, and let me draw it. I know this is a little hard to follow. It'll be easier when it's yours. When it's 1, 2, now that looks like we just went 3, 4, and now we're bringing it down here, seeking the 5, right? But it doesn't look like we could still certainly have more to go here. So that's the count here. So let me wick this off so it's a little bit easier to connect them. So there's the 1. Let me put that in green so it's matched to this count here. So the 1, 2, 3, here's the 4. Okay, so let's open this up. There's a few things here that are worth noting here. It's move, of course, right? It's right. You know what's driving this, right? So algos are always here, just sitting and waiting at these pivots. So that's why you want to pay attention to them. So if this is the 1, 2 correctly identified as the 1, ABC into the 2 here. Well, if we can complete the impulse here into the big 3, well, we can do a couple of things here. Excuse me. Let's first measure that. So here's the low. Here's the low. We get into that 1 and we go into that 2. All right. Well, here's where we're calling the 3 relative to that 1, 2. Here's the 3. Now we get through the 175. All right. We've got this extra little kicker, so we're actually kind of in between the 175 and the 200. But the subdivision here is all quite good. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a clean impulse in the 5. Then we had that little freak out where we hit 34, and then we had this big drop that was immediately rejected. So that looks like our best candidate since I can get an ABC out of it for our 4. So we want to measure from that 2 to that 4 and see how that played. Right? You would anticipate that it would be technical. So here's the 2 to that 3. So we'll come down here, we tag the 50. Then it looks like we're going up here now. I mean, we had a little pivot here at the first algo target, but obviously it has more legs here and certainly could keep going. So we've got a good technical retracement here. Now it gets a little trickier here. I think, let's go down to the hourly. This is such a clear 3 here that I think we got to go with an expanded B wave here because of that 3. So I think we do go 1, 2, pardon me. So let me draw it here easier. So we go A, B down for the C to give us our 2 here. It just seems like a cleaner count than trying to wedge the 1 up here. So 1, A, B, C into the 2 seems to fit better, right, from an Elliott perspective. Note the Vegas wave here supporting all the way up. Now from there, again, 1, 2 looks like 3. Now we had looked at the possibility of the 4 being here, but it was such an abrupt 4. In fact, I posted yesterday, maybe the 4, but we don't get a good 3. So it looks like we get a, this is all wick down here. So, but technically you'd have to call it a running flat. Certainly we have the height of the B wave here to give us the requirements. So we have meet the guidelines there for a running flat. Now we're up for the 5. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd want to check this, and this is, I think, oh, is this where we left it? No, I think it was right here. So here's the 2 to the 3. As you see right here, I can't remember, it was last week where we were looking at this. Oh, no, it was right here. So we did it twice. So I think the last Friday we were right here saying, okay, well, I think we were looking at either it's here or here. So 50, 618. But on a closer look, I think that's the way we do it. So here we've got 50 to the tick already through the fourth target here. But again, that's one more reason why I think this plays better as an expanded B wave into the 2. We come right to the 50 and then we just rip, right? So we've had quite an extension here. This would appear to be the 3rd because of the subdivision. So I can go from that 2, right, as I just showed it. So then we go 1, 2, 3. Here's the 4. And as I just showed you, we have a perfectly technical algo pivot here. I can get it back in alignment. So there it is. So here's the golden zone back to between the 50. We get target, right? Algo target. That's to the tick. All right. So we're getting a little resistance there. So what did we just complete, right? It looks to me like it's the 3rd at this degree. So we're in the 5th. So it's 1, 2, 3, seeking the 4 before we go 5. And you see I've got an alert up here at 45,000, which I think was our next target here. Go up to get that second target. But then additionally, sorry, if I just tee this up here, if indeed that's going to hold as the 3, anywhere down here between the 23 and the 38 prime target, might even just wick off a little, something like that. Prime target for a 4. Come down here. If it was that would be a gift, right? If we could get that, then you got a new target. Now you see why I have my alert up here. So any sort of a 3 that comes down here, if we can get anything like a 3 to come down here. You know what I was trying to get. 3 to come down here into a 4 where we get a little structure, have something technical into that 4. That would be a gift if we get that. Then we're going from 37 to 44, 45. So what would we be completing there? Right? That potential right now is dangerous to try and call a top, right? So don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. That's just a target. That's a target for a trade. We're still seeking the 3rd at this degree. So 3, 4, we're seeking. You got to kind of back up and keep track of what you're trying to complete here, right? That is the 3rd relative to this 1, 2 here, right? So it's 1, 2. So this is from this 2. That's the 3rd we're after before going 4, right? And still more to come. Right? So if we were to complete there, 4, 5. Now we're over 50K. Still seeking the largest degree off of the COVID low. We're still seeking that 3rd. All right, so the whole way up, this is where the Elliott has been really helpful. Right? It's been, I think, invaluable in terms of where the reasonable locations for entry were, and just that in conjunction with working the algos has been, if there was a better way to do it, I'd be teaching it. So there's simpler, there's easier ways, right? Price action, infinitely easier. I'm not saying it's better, but it's certainly easier. But if you're up for the challenge, I would encourage you to get some Elliott Wave skills. It will help you, particularly in these kind of bull runs like this. So let's see. Well, I don't know if there's much else I can add here other than retracements have to be looked at closely, carefully. Do the appropriate risk analysis for your account size, but I don't see any reason to be anticipating some sort of a dramatic correction. So if you get a pullback, if you can get a 3, God, I struggle with this. If you can get something like that, I mean, of course you got to put a stop on it, right? But I mean, again, that's an individual choice, right? So maybe if you're not leveraged, but make your own decisions there. But these are going to continue to be opportunities, right? I mean, you trade these until they fail, right? That's always the. Right now, every retracement has been bought aggressively, and then again, you add in just the simple supply and demand. Where are you going to get more Bitcoin, right? Where are you going to get it for less? People that so people they wait for the big correction and they say, "Oh my God, I can't buy it. It's going straight down. It's correcting." Right? Then it runs up like this and they can't buy it because it's too high, right? So you've got to you just have to say, okay, if it corrects, right, this is where I'm a buyer, and not try and second guess the market. Oh, well, looks like maybe it's going to correct further because it's too far gone, right? That's what Tesla traders and Bitcoin traders and I was waiting for. God, I don't know how many email or comments I would get under YouTube. So, yeah, it looks great. Yeah, pie in the sky. I'm waiting for 1800. Yeah, well, how's that going? Okay, guys, there you go. That's about all I can add. Again, this is an excellent exercise for you guys to really work through this count, see if you can get it clean all the way up. If you want to keep it simple, you can certainly stay big picture. Nothing wrong with looking out here on the daily to get some perspective on where we're going next. Whatever you're thinking, it's higher than that. Okay, guys, there you go. That'll probably do it for today. All right, there you go. Have a good weekend. I hope you're long and strong. Guys, talk to you later.